Hi, I'm Mike Cherniffsky, and you are listening to This Podcast is Uncalled For. All right, Brian, welcome to the podcast. So, you may recall from season 2, we did a tour of Kansas City video based largely on a critique of my friend Emerson Rapp and his famous Tour of KC video, which you can still see on YouTube. And by the way, you can also download our episode still to this day. That being said, thanks to some gal, you may have heard of this. You may have heard of her, Taylor Swift, country star who turned into a pop star, and started dating one of our local NFL players. Inspired a article from Today.com, so the Today Show. The article is going to Kansas City like Taylor Swift. Here are some places to visit, and as a Kansas Cityan, I feel obliged to revisit the whole Tour of KC idea. The Swifties version. So credits for this article goes to Samantha Kubota at today.com. And, here we go. So for all Swifties considering a trip to the City of Fountains, here are some of our top recommendations for Kansas City. And this is me, a Kansas Cityan, commenting on this. So, while many of us are rooting for Taylor Swift and her rumored beau, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, still more of her fans could be considering a trip to the Midwest. If you're a Swiftie or just looking for a unique trip to Kansas City, aka City of Fountains, we have some suggestions of where to go, and Today.com put together this list based on personal experience and with the help of our friends and fellow Swifties at the local NBC News affiliate KSHB. So, side note to KSHB, Channel 41 locally. Their station's not too far from the plaza and not too far from the UMKC campus. Friend of the podcast, Brian Boy, worked there for a time when I first met him. And believe it or not, tried unsuccessfully to get a job there. So, move on. So, where is Kansas City? That's the question. So, for starters, we feel it's important to note that Kansas City is split between the states of Missouri and Kansas. Technically, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri remain two separately incorporated cities, but together, along with several other surrounding cities and suburbs, they make up the Kansas City metro area. And it's important to note that Kansas City, the city in Missouri, is the older of the two and the much, much larger of the two, and actually was incorporated sometime before the state of Kansas was. So, very important to note. And some of those cities that make up our metro, well, of course, the two Kansas cities, Overland Park, where I live, which actually somehow has a larger population than KCK, but slightly. Olathe, further out in Johnson County. Independence, in the northeast corner. I can't exactly call it corner, but in the northeast part of Jackson County, and Lee Summits to the southeast of Jackson County. They also have Shawnee, which is north central Johnson County. Then right below that is Lenexa, and then back out to eastern Jackson County, a place I go to a lot, mostly for work, Blue Springs. And then, just cut it off at cities with a population of 20K above. So Leavenworth, way the hell up north in Leavenworth County. And of course, home to a federal prison and Fort Leavenworth military base. Leawood, Kansas, which hugs the state line. Liberty, Missouri, up in the Northlands. We used to have the chess club office up there. Raytown, Missouri, not too far from where the stadiums are in eastern Jackson County and mostly enclaved by Kansas City. Gladstone, Missouri, that's up north and entirely enclaved by Kansas City. Grandview, Missouri to the south. Belton, Missouri to the south of that in Cass County. Gardner, Kansas, that's the southwestern corner of Johnson County. Prairie Village, hugging the state line, just north of Leawood, and Raymore, Missouri is also Cass County. So we're in all the counties, well, all except Kansas City proper spills into Clay and Platte counties. So yeah, we do hit all the counties here. So where to eat in Kansas City? Well, for Swifties in town to follow the footsteps of Taylor Swift, you can start by checking out Prime Social. That's the cocktail bar that Swift and Kelsey reportedly went to after her first Chiefs game, the Let's Fucking Go game on September 24 for an after party. KSHB reported Kelsey actually rented out the place for the gathering, and fittingly, the establishment is located on Pennsylvania Avenue, named after Swift's home state. In point of fact, this place is actually on the Country Club Plaza, in a very modern building on the Country Club Plaza. So I think they mentioned the plaza later in the article, but for those of you who are new to Kansas City, the Country Club Plaza, celebrating his 100th birthday at the time of this recording, by the way, is a couple miles south of downtown. You'll know you're there because it has a very Spanish-looking architecture. It's supposed to be designed off of Sevilla, Spain. But there's there are a couple of very modern-looking buildings, and one in particular, so modern that at the top of the building, just underneath the rooftop, you see a big TV. If you're looking at it from the south, there's a big TV on this building. That's about where Prime Social is. I've been in this building once, and is ultra modern. In fact, the elevators in this particular building were pretty darn cool. You actually, in the elevator lobby, you actually select the floor you're going to first before you even get on the elevator. And it pre-programs the elevator to just take it up. And then on the way down, you just press a button before you get on the elevator again, and it takes you down. It is so awesome, and I wish more elevators were like that. So that's pretty cool. Apparently, this bar is behind that giant TV. So, yeah. Moving on with the article. Kelsey and Swift reportedly were also recently spotted on a date at Piropo's restaurant, a high-end Argentinian steakhouse with views of the city. So this particular establishment is in the Briarcliff neighborhood which is in Clay County, just very close to the Platte Clay County border, just due north of the downtown airports, which is where small planes like Miss Swift's would fly into, along US 169. And yeah, that's a interesting little neighborhood with very high end restaurants and mansions, but it's mixed in with more middle class stuff. And it's a good thing I mentioned Argentinian here, because the first time I heard about this, they used the word Argentine, which would be correct, but for a Kansas City, and there's a neighborhood in KCK called Argentine, which is the complete opposites class-wise of Briarcliff. And it's mostly nowadays home to a large Mexican and Latino population. So, and home to the best army surplus store in on the planet in Mickey's Surplus. So shout out to Mickey's Surplus. All right. And I did check out the mini piropos. Like $50 a dish. Oh my god. But hey, if you're a pop superstar and a NFL player, then yeah, you can certainly afford that, no problem. But a guy like me, yeah, forget it. So moving on with the article. For any meat-loving, meat-eating folks visiting Kansas City for the first time, we'd be remiss not to mention the excellent barbecue. This is where you get barbecue. This is where you get barbecue. Kansas City is known for its sweet and thick tomato-based barbecue sauce. So anything that's labeled barbecue sauce is most likely going to be derived from Kansas City style barbecue sauce. So, and burnt ends. The flavorful pieces of meat cut from the point half of a smoked brisket. If you watch any cooking videos on YouTube, I highly recommend Sous Vide Everything and Guga Foods. So shout out to Guga. He's done a number of videos on cooking briskets. So briskets, for those not in the know, comes from where the chest would be on a cow, and comes in like there's two muscles associated with the brisket. One is called the point, which is really fatty and contains all the good stuff, and that's where the burnt ends come from. And the other part is called the flat, and that tends to be much leaner. So shout out to Guga. Burnt ends reportedly gained their fame from Arthur Bryant's Barbecue, a legendary restaurant in Kansas City. So once again, friend of the podcast, Brian Boy, he loves Arthur Bryant's. Personally, I find Arthur Bryant's disgusting, but that's my view on it. So next we have Joe's Barbecue, another barbecue classic born out of a gas station. That's true. There are now several locations across town, and is known for the legendary Z-Man sandwich, which has brisket, smoked provolone cheese, and onion rings. I made my views on Joe's perfectly clear, but if this is your first time listening to the podcast, here's my opinion about Joe's. In order to just order, you have to stand in line for about an hour, if you're lucky. That's just to order, alright? Odds are, if I'm hungry, I want to order as quickly as possible. I'm not standing in line for a fucking hour just to order. Alright? If an hour comes along and I'm still in line, then adios. You know, so not worth it. If you want to get Joe's, just do the right thing. Order DoorDash. Plug for DoorDash. There. So I am going to recommend the next restaurant they mention here, and that's Gates Barbecue. Another option with several locations around the area. I have to correct the article writer here. So the staff yells, "How may I help you?" It's actually, that's how it sounds, but they're actually saying, "Hi, may I help you?" It's because it sounds more like, "How may I help you? One beef on bun go, please." They yell at customers, and Brian did talk about that. When they walk in, it's a gag. Something our friends at KCPT say no visitor is ever ready for. There are several Jack Stack barbecue locations around Kansas City, including conveniently at the Country Club Plaza, which is a typical stop for tourists. Though the eatery has been around since the 1950s, it recently was the talk of the town for reportedly catering a post-game party at Kelsey's house. So I've talked a little bit about Jack Stack in the past, and that's what they're best at, is catering. This is high quality barbecue that we're talking about. And, again, catering is what they're best at. And then the last one they mention here in terms of barbecue places is Q39, which Carl Fletcher brought up in his episode, and I talked a little about my soul experience with them. Not a pleasant one, but it's a newer barbecue restaurant that several of our local friends recommended. There are loads of atypical dishes offered, like bacon wrapped shrimp and a smoked pork banh mi, for example. And you could choose your own mix-ins like roasted tomatoes or sausage for mac and cheese. Or, they don't mention it here, but I'm once again going to put out Roselle Barbecue. There's only the one location on Southwest Boulevard near KU Med that I found out about during my own TV internship, and I swear to God, that is actually the best barbecue in KC, and it is criminally underrated. So do check that place out. Now, continuing with the article, if burgers are more your style, several of our Kansas City friends suggested Tay's Burger Shack, an affordable and low-key shop that unintentionally shares part of its name with Swift. So this is actually a place I have not been to, but it is located in North Kansas City. Not to be confused with Kansas City North. Remember, Kansas City North is KC proper in Platts or Clay counties, whereas North KC is its own little suburb, completely enclaved by Kansas City. It's on Armour Road in North KC, as we do have two streets named Armour, Armour. This is the one north, and this is the one I usually take on the way up to our chess club office. So since it's on the way to the office, next time I go up, I'm going to have to check the place out. So, pretty cool. Now, if you want to eat some chicken with seemingly ranch, just like Swift, check out Mother Clucker. That's a new one on me too, so I'll look that up in just a bit. But the Nashville-style hot chicken is an option for Swifties who want to pay homage to her country roots. I mean, we are talking about someone who started her career as a country musician. And looks like they have 2 locations. One's in Shawnee, downtown Shawnee, and one is in the Crossroads. So, Mother Clucker. Alright, and then we have Westport Ale House. Is another fun place. This is not one of my Westport's regular spots, but I know exactly where it is, right off of Broadway. On Sundays, it's more of a sports bar, but on Thursday nights, you can catch locals doing the Kansas City two-step, a popular style of dance unique to the area. I've never seen the Kansas City two-step, so I couldn't tell you what all that entails. So, we got another North KC option. So, Sail Away Wines has more than 72 wines on tap, and customers can serve themselves as they go with their wine passports. The bar also serves beer, food, and spirits. And for the more literary inclined, visit Afterward Tavern and Shells for a combination bookstore and craft cocktail bar. It also has board games to borrow and play with your friends while you enjoy your drink. I believe this is in the Crossroads. And check in their thing. And yeah, it's in the Crossroads on Grant. Although if you want to do board games, go to Tabletop Game and Hobby in Overland Park. Right next door is the Cardboard Corner Cafe, and they have a library of board games that you can check out and play while you're eating or having a spirits. So the next bar they mentioned I am absolutely going to recommend is the Blue Line Hockey Bar in the River Market area. Fun podcasting story about that was with Winning Side. I had Ray Domino on a couple of times, and one of those times he suggested checking out this place, and it was just too loud for us to actually podcast, so we went across the street to the Opera House to record. But still, I highly recommend this place as a classic sports dive bar with loads of televisions showing just about every game known to man, and not just hockey. It serves classic bar food, and it has a great, cheap happy hour menu. And then this last one I am not familiar with at all, but we'll talk about it. It has Percheron. It's a seasonal rooftop bar at Crossroads Hotel. It features great skyline views, but be aware that no kids are allowed after 8 p.m. It's first come, first serve, unless you have a party of 6 or more, in which case a reservation is recommended. So let's check this place out. Okay, it looks like it's in a newer building at the Crossroads Hotel. I've never been to the Crossroads Hotel, so okay. Alright, I think I know where. I think 2101 Central. That would put it, deep in the heart of the Crossroads. Alright. So, probably another place to check out. I don't know. So, what to do when visiting Kansas City? Well, obviously, anyone visiting during football season should check out a Chiefs game at Arrowhead. Not only might you catch a glimpse of Swift cheering on Kelsey, let's fucking go! KC native Paul Rudd is also a huge fan. Once again, Paul Rudd, Shine Mission West, go Vikings. Of course, if it's baseball season, a Royals game is also always a hit, and Rudd Another fellow Viking, Jason Sudeikis, Rob Riggle, South, and Eric Stone Street, I have no idea where he went to school, but are devout supporters of theirs too. Kansas City is also home to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in the 18th and Vine District, which is dedicated to preserving the history of the Negro League baseball in America. And right next door to the Negro Leagues Museum, you'll find the American Jazz Museum, which pays tribute to the greats like Charlie Parker, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, among others. Again, 18th and Vine. Highly recommend. Yeah. Then we have the historic Union Station. Is a grand building featuring both permanent and temporary exhibits, a planetarium and science center, and shopping. It is also a functioning Amtrak station. It has a post office, it has theater space, it has office space. It is connected via the Link Skywalk system to Grand Center and is the current terminus of the Kansas City streetcar, from which the Main Street extension is, as of this recording, being built and will hopefully be up and running by 2025. The Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, located just east of the plaza and due north of the UMKC campus, and not too far from the TV station in question. Known for its large collection of Asian art, and admission is free. Be sure to get your timed entry tickets ahead of time and know that the museum is only open Thursday through Monday. If you don't have time to go inside, you can always snap a photo outside with the giant shuttlecock sculptures. Well, they have more than just shuttlecocks in their lawn, but point taken. Point taken. They do have a very nice Dalmaeus coffee shop in there, so I do highly recommend that. And the guy that runs that coffee shop is a really cool dude. So, and of course, the nearby Country Club Plaza, or as we locals call it, the Plaza, is a shopping destination from Barnes & Noble to Tiffany & Co. There's something for everyone there, and after a long afternoon of hitting the shops, grab a bite to eat at one of the many restaurants located in the outdoor mall. I personally go put a plug for the Shake Shack on the plaza, which was partially with part of the design work of that place was done by my sister. Same goes for the Capitol Grill if you can afford that. But the plaza is not what it used to be. It could be. There's a lot that could be done to restore it to its former glory. But one thing they kind of messed up on was tearing down the annex to the movie theater. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. So now we have a giant hole in the western part of the plaza where that theater used to be, and it's kind of sad. But anyways, moving on. So for the devout Swifties, you can also visit Swift Street in North Kansas City. The town temporarily put up signs in June to have Swift's Eras Tour stop at Arrowhead on the southwest corner of Swift Street and Armour Road. One sign read Honorary Swift Street Taylor's version, and the other said Honorary Cornelia Street. It's also near Sail Away Wine, the wine bar we mentioned earlier. And this is a good time to talk about North Rail, because if that were to happen, they did the study that we talked about earlier, and they determined that North Kansas City can't really afford it on their own. Someone on Reddit recently posted that they could continue the study thanks to something in the Missouri state budget that I tried to search earlier today but could not find it. But if North Rail were to become a reality, it would run on Swift Street. And yeah, let's move on. There's one more paragraph to this. So you don't need to drive your own getaway car if you're staying downtown. That's the key. It's only downtown. The city operates its own free streetcar service that comes every 15 minutes or so and makes a loop to many of the destinations we mentioned here. One of the cars is even currently decorated in pink for the Barbie movie. That is true. That is true. So, once again, we talk about the streetcar. I've already talked about what's going on with North Rail, but for our just as a reminder, the current starter line, the stops are, and I'm going to make a challenge to our local musicians. If you guys want to do a song based on the streetcar stops, a la Jay Foreman's Tube Station song, have at it. Here are the official names of the stops: City Market, River Market North, River Market West, North Loop, Library, Metro Center, Power and Light, Kaufman Center, Crossroads, Union Station. For the Main Street extension, we can add, we call it Liberty Memorial as locals, but they're insisting on calling it World War One Museum and Memorial. Then we got Union Hill, Armour, Westport, Southmoreland, Art Museums, and KC Art Institute, Plaza, UMKC, my alma mater, and Riverfront for the Riverfront extension. And there was just a meeting online just this past week that I was fortunate enough to attend on Zoom about their east-west line, which would make use of the Westport and Armour stops and add a new stop further down the line, but that's not until 2032 at the earliest is when that should be completed. But they're asking for our input now, because this shit takes years to plan. And I've heard on the news that they just got a shit ton of grant money for improvement projects, including the east-west line, as well as an express line from KCI all the way to downtown, which should integrate with the network. I digress. But these are the stops proposed for the east-west line going from west to east. So UKHS, University of Kansas Health Services, just call it KU Med like all the locals do. And the rest of these are all street names. So Wyoming, so West 39th Street neighborhood. Clark, which puts it in front of Q39 on 39th Street. Then Broadway, again, Westport Broadway would be awesome. Then May at 39th, that's already the Westport stop. Armour, Maine at Linwood, which will be a new stop. Then we turn Gillum, Troost, Paseo, Brooklyn, Prospect, Indiana, Jackson, Lister, parentheses, VA Hospital, and the terminus at Van Brunt's Boulevard. So I put out the challenge. Let's do a song similar to Jay Foreman on the Kansas City Streetcar Network. I think that's it for the article. Kind of limited in scope, but still fun to revisit tours of my city. And they left out a lot of stuff. Go back and listen to our first KC episodes to get more. And this is a good place to end this episode. So, as always, thank you for listening. And we will talk to y'all next time. This podcast is Uncalled For, is hosted, produced, and edited by myself, Mike Chernevsky. Our opening music is Iron Bacon by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com and is licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution License. The outro music that you're currently hearing is River Meditation by Jason Shaw and is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 United States license, and you can find it at freemusicarchive.org.
If you are in the United States or Canada, you can call us at 816-832-5160. Leave your message or question for us, and if we like it, we will play it on the podcast. Please support the podcast and purchase our exclusive Uncalled For merchandise. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and so much more. Go to www.cafepress.com/uncalledforpod. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.